Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FilmSnobbery Live. I am your host, Nick Baisley, and you're here for another wonderful episode. We jam-packed them in last week. We're doing the same thing again. I guess I'm just trying to make it up to you guys since we actually don't have a show next Thursday. So we wanted to give you as much show as we possibly could. We are just packing it all in with this all-male review of independent film tonight. We've got fantastic guests coming, or I say coming, they're already here. They're sitting to my camera, left, right, whatever. Fantastic guys. We have one director. His name is Zach Forsman. He's the director of Down and Dangerous. New movie premiered at the Phoenix Film Festival, and it will be over at the Dances with Film Festival along with me. I will actually be there as well. And he's joined by his lead actor, Mr. John T. Woods. There he is, kind of upside downish on the Down and Dangerous poster. Oh, there he is, that handsome devil in the sweater. So we're going to have a fantastic show. We're going to talk to these guys about making a low-budget movie look like basically a Hollywood blockbuster at this point. I was lucky enough to catch a bit of an early glimpse at this movie way back when it was still in the rough cut stages and hadn't been colored yet, and they were still working on the effects and the music and a bunch of other stuff. And then they released the trailer, and then I've seen other stills, and I've seen all this other stuff. And if you were lucky enough to be at the Phoenix Film Festival, you yourself were lucky enough to see this movie. And all the critics are really enjoying it, and the audience feedback has been really, really positive, and they're going everywhere now. So I'm really excited to talk to these guys. We've got a lot more show as well. Earlier this week, I was able to speak with Leslie Scallon, the co-founder of Dances with Films, and we sat down and we talked about what makes Dances with Films kind of how does it stand out in the sea of film festivals that are out there, especially when they're located in Hollywood and, among all the stars and the talent agents and the managers and the bureaucracy and the hypocrisy and the nepotism and all these other things. So we talked to her about a little bit about kind of what makes their festival stand out from all of that. And we're going to show you a little clip of that, and the rest of that segment will actually be online later tonight along with this show, the archive version of this show. So I want to thank everyone who's already here watching. We also have a couple other things we're going to get to at the end of the show, including I will be walking in Hell Walk this week for a charity called Kid Flicks. We're going to talk about that later, and we're also going to, obviously we have sponsors and other fun things that we have to and like to and want to talk to you about. So, that said, let's get into the show. I'm excited to share this with you. If you haven't seen it already, here is the trailer for Down and Dangerous. And when we come back, we're going to be having a chat about it with director Zach Forsman and actor Mr. John T. Woods. Stick around.
The cocaine business is just like any other business. You got your importing, your packaging, the quality control. This is your cut.
I already got a guy in the line for it.
What's the price?
$150.
Elliot, I love you, but you're a thief. You want to make sure what comes in is fresh and pure. I run solo. No partners, no entanglements. I can't have any reason to think twice.
You're just taking it to the limit one more time. Where are you?
Feds think some mid-level trafficker's moving in on me.
Did some friend drag you into this?
You know me better than that. Oh, good. It's the police.
Help me take down the guy who splattered your buddy's brains all over his dashboard.
Get out of my face. They got me in a pretty tight spot here.
They don't realize it. They're painting you in a corner. It's made you dangerous.
How did you get in here?
You have your dope. Where's my cuts?
Oh, you want it all, don't you?
You brought me here for one reason. So this idiot shoots me? Nobody here makes any money.
You used to be pretty good at disappearing. How about doing it again?
You're asking a lot.
I'm offering a
You don't have it in you, do you?
Smuggler bleeds like anybody else. We just get more chances to prove it.
right, everyone, we're back, and I'm really, really excited. My nipples are doing things they haven't done in years, so I can't wait to chat with you guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Zach Forsman, Mr. John T. Woods, how you doing?
Good.
You good? Yeah. Everyone's good?
I'm great. Yeah.
Zach, Papa Bear over there is always the strong, silent guy.
Mm-hmm. That's what Marion said last week, yeah. The quiet observer.
The quiet observer. You watch that stuff, huh?
Of course, people are talking about me.
It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a good show, huh? No.
People were talking about me.
People were talking about. So, the first thing is we've already got questions from the audience starting to come in, and I want to encourage everyone who's in the chat room right now, or anyone on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Please feel free to throw some questions over to these guys. I've got a million questions, but I've known them for longer than you have, most likely. So we want to know what you guys think too. So I'll get us started. Down and Dangerous. Tell us a little bit about where that came from. That has a very personal connection to you, Zach.
Yeah, my dad in the early 70s was a cocaine smuggler. He had a brief career in that trade. But he was uniquely principled for that line of work, if there is such a thing. And by that I mean his scams, his smuggles were designed in such a way that it always put the person carrying first ahead of the drug. So if the load got hit by customs, they had paperwork and other things down the line, or things to back them up so they could walk away.
Fantastic. And where did you pick up this guy?
Who?
Mr. John T. Woods.
I don't know who this is.
You don't know who this guy is?
I'm just selling Pop Rocks. You guys want Pop Rocks?
I would love Pop Rocks.
All right.
No, John and I have been friends for, I think, 5 years now.
Sounds
Close
right.
to, yeah. And the genesis of this movie actually started, because my office is near where he lives, and we would meet at the local Starbucks from time to time. We started talking about how we were hungry to make a movie, what kind of movie we would want to make at the time for nothing, and it developed from there. And shortly thereafter, Kickstarter became part of the conversation, and we molded our strategy and sort of worked backwards from the budget that we thought we could get, because at the same time I was still writing, to craft a movie that could be made on a micro budget level, but still using the resources that we knew we had available to us to look much bigger than it was.
What was John? What was your initial impression of the script when you got it? In terms of the story, your character in general.
Well, when Zach and I were talking about the idea, what I think most excited us about the prospect of making a film and forgetting about budget, like kind of just setting budget aside for a second and saying, well, what do we want to do? We started talking about the films that we liked as kids, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then movies we started to grow into, like Heat, just the movies that we would make if budget weren't a concern.
Right.
And we thought, okay, let's write to that, and then do what we can to make it happen, regardless of the budget that we will or will not have. So when I saw the script and I saw the amount of action that was in it, that's exactly what we had talked about. And we talked about chase scenes, fight scenes, car chase scenes, high-speed chases, gunfights, sex, drugs, rock and roll, that kind of stuff. And I thought, this is exciting. This is what we need to be shooting for, regardless of how much we have or do not have.
And now you strike me as more of the Notebook Ryan Gosling versus the Drive Ryan Gosling type of character actor here. No, kidding. But how did you prepare? Like when you saw this and you finally saw the script and were like, okay, I know we talked about all this running around and shit, but this looks like it's going to be work. Like, what it's like? Can we just have me like riding in a car down a hallway or a golf cart or a Segway or something?
Yeah, right.
What did you do to kind of like get ready? And was it at all daunting?
Well, it's funny
to look at what you had to do.
Much like Ryan Gosling in The Notebook, I moved to South Carolina and I built furniture for like 3 months. Right? Yeah. No, I couldn't do any of that. That's kind of one of the great things about having those opportunities is you can go off and do that. But as far as preparing for the role, I got myself, frankly, just on a strict diet, and
There's only a few words in there I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I got myself on a strict diet. I drank a little less, and tried to be more active because I knew I was going to have to do a lot of running. Which seriously, the running. Yeah, I broke my toe. Like, the first bone I've ever broken was on this movie. I thought I'd get away scot-free in life. Because I'm 33. I'm like, if I haven't broken a bone by now, I'm probably not gonna.
Right.
And then I did. I shattered it. And, there was times where the running was just so much. just all out sprints down alleyways, and Zach's like, he'd be like, that was awesome, that was great. Can we do it one more time? Just, you have like one more in you? I'm like, but if it was so awesome, why are we doing it again? Just 1 second. So, yeah, just prepping. I just had to get myself there mentally and knowing that there was going to be a lot of fight training. I did some boxing training, stuff like that.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that. I would have gone with you.
Yeah, it's fun.
I used to box. I like that stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my brother used to box with me, too, but I was in 7th grade, and he used to just punch me in the face.
That's pretty much what my training was.
Right?
Yeah. From what we understood from Marion, yeah, Zach likes to make his people bleed. And for him, and, that's true art. Mm-hmm. No, kidding. She never said anything like that at all. He's like, I watched that show. Can we rewind this? Can we cut to last week? No. When you see the end result, though, and you're now seeing the final cut, and you're seeing it with an audience, and you're seeing their reactions, all worth it?
That's
every bit of pain?
Great question. Yeah, and it's absolutely true, because I have this sort of mantra that, movies last forever.
Yeah.
Unless you burn the negatives, I guess. But the movies last forever, frankly. But I always have this thing where, like, we're going to put months and months into this,
right?
And the audience is going to be asked to give 90 minutes of their life to watch it, and they can be pretty unforgiving.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't like something in the moment, it doesn't matter that it took us 2 weeks to get that part done. They're like, we didn't like that, but it took us 2 weeks. Doesn't matter. It has to be good. So I would be willing to do, and Zach knew this, willing to do take after take after take until he was happy with what was in the can. We weren't going to sacrifice anything just for the sake of moving on, that kind of thing. So I'm pretty pleased. When I watch the movie, I've seen it more than a handful of times, and I still really enjoy it, and not just because I'm in it. I actually really like the film.
And do you get to sit back as an audience member? I find that as a critic really hard to do. To be able to now go into movies, unless I specifically tell myself, like, no, I can go into Avengers and remove myself from being a critic, but it's hard for me to go to a general movie and remove myself from doing that. Do you have the same problem as an actor, even in not just movies you're in, but other movies that you watch? Like, do you critique other performances?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody does it. Like, I just saw Star Trek.
Yep.
Right, the second one, and as an actor, I watch it as a fan. Yep. But as an actor, I watch and I see roles that I would like to play. I see archetypes that I'd like to play, and then I see characters that I think are my type and choices I may, have made differently. So you can't help it.
You totally could do like a McCoy. I could see you doing like a.
Oh, are you kidding me? That would be that's my choice role in there.
Yeah.
They can keep Spock and they can keep Kirk. Great roles, but McCoy is where it's at.
McCoy is where it's at.
Yeah, honestly.
So let's talk a little bit about Zach, the crowdfunding part of this.
Oh, I thought you were going to say let's talk about Zach.
Just in general?
Yeah.
Well, you can talk
No,
about Zach. How is Zach? Tell me about the man, the myth, the legend that is Zach, and specifically, Sabi Company, and this is not your first movie.
No, it's not my first motion picture.
I love it. I gotta tell you, you just sold me. Yeah. You're damn good salesman.
Green Apple Pop Rocks.
Green Apple Pop Rocks, available at a local convenience store bodega near you.
There's a pull quote that says Apple-tastic.
Mm-hmm.
I could only wish I was in the room with that marketing meeting.
Wait, what were we
Someone got paid for that.
What was the question? Did you want about crowdfunding or me?
Let's talk about you.
Okay. What was your question? I'm sorry.
Let's talk about you and Sabi for a second. So, for people who don't know what Sabi is, explain a little bit to them about the uniqueness that kind of sets Sabi apart from other production companies.
Well, I mean, usually people come to know about Sabi first by seeing that we sort of credit all of our movies to a film by Sabi, and that's not to say that I'm Sabi. That's not an alias or anything that I use. Sabi is the Sabi Company, and that's myself, my business partner, and a guy who's been a lifelong friend since 7th grade, Kevin Shaw. We started the company together as a place where artists of different talents is not the word I'm looking for, but it'll suffice.
Ungrateful.
Artists of various skill sets.
Yeah,
maybe
can come together and work in a creatively safe atmosphere, and we have musicians, actors, writers. They all sort of like fall under the Sabi umbrella. Editors, and we just want to do what everybody else wants to do. We want to make good art.
You want to create.
Yeah. which is not to, and I don't mean art in the highfalutin sense. I mean
It can be. This is film snobbery, by the way.
It's true, but I mean, this Sabi Company also just put out a crime thriller, which we had a blast making it. It was a fun movie to make, and it was made by 6 people. The crew was only 6 people deep. Each of us were wearing multiple hats, and yeah, I mean, it's a sort of situation where you're very careful about the people who are taking on a role on the crew, because if any one of us were to falter, the whole thing would have crumbled. We're all like a pillar.
Well, let's talk about your campaign for Down and Dangerous. All right, so you decided to go Kickstarter, and how far ahead was this planned? Did you have every day of this campaign planned? Was it very okay, we're going to wing it? Were you okay, we have some content that we can release? Tell me about the strategy for that, because I know that is something that a lot of people aren't. They don't do. They're just oh, we're gonna put a campaign up, and we'll throw some comments out on Twitter and Facebook. We'll throw maybe a behind the scenes still or a picture or whatever, and then that's it. And then they don't make it. But you guys did.
We did make it
a lot.
But frankly, we didn't do a ton of planning before we launched. I mean, I did enough research to know what a realistic goal would be, and we knew all the important things we needed to be doing during the campaign. But it wasn't like we sat down and had a strategy meeting and picked specific dates or anything like that. We were essentially just going 100 miles an hour. I was online probably close to 18 hours a day, every day of the campaign.
Did that surprise you in terms of the amount of work it took to keep donations, the momentum going?
No, it didn't surprise me. I just assumed it's what I needed to do to hit $30,000 at a minimum. But yeah, and as the weeks progressed, I really, it's time for a video to sort of invigorate the campaign again. And then another week went by. I was now it's time for a funny video to reinvigorate the campaign. And yeah, I mean, I wrote an article for Filmmaker magazine that was sort of my sort of final, because a lot of people were asking me for advice, and I wanted a place where I could put it all into one article and point people to it when they were asking for advice. And I mean, a lot of people know this now, but one of the biggest lessons I learned doing that campaign was to that when you get a donation from somebody, to immediately find them on Facebook or find them on Twitter and thank them for it, and include a link back to the Kickstarter page, because they're inevitably going to respond to that and say why, what they responded to in the campaign video or whatever it was about the campaign that they responded to. And so right there you have a testimonial that all of their friends can see that are not necessarily people that you know.
That's that's a really good. I mean, even if it's an accidental strategy, but or something that you just found that happened to work, that's good. Speaking of crowd, we have an audience who would have guessed they like pop rocks, but they also like questions. And we have some questions for you, and let's take a couple. And
I don't want to hear anything from Gary King.
You don't want to hear anything from Gary King?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, I was going to say you're in luck, because we have other questions that aren't from Gary King. We do have questions from Gary King, but
I would love to hear from Gary.
Let's hear from Gary King. So Gary says, if both Zach Forsman and John T. Woods, which I do like that you use the T in there, because even when I talk to people about you, they never just say John or John Woods. They use literally your full name. And there's only 2 other people I know that can get away with the middle initial, like David O. Russell and Craig T. Nelson. And that's it. And you're on that level, sir.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful thing.
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson. It's true. But I'm going.
He's an ancillary third.
Coach. John, if you both had to agree on one co-star and genre for their next picture, what would it ideally be?
If we had to agree on it, though?
If you had to...
If we had to agree on it, it's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
We don't agree on anything. If we had to agree, assuming it's the next film, assuming it's the next feature we do, but we had to incorporate a co-star.
Mm-hmm. And a genre.
Mm-hmm. All right. Could we pick a certain actor from a certain time? Can we pick Elliot Gould from a certain year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Devil and Max Devlin, yeah. Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould, 81, 79 to 81.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I love to work with him. He's great. I mean, even in the older years too. Elliot, if you're watching, we'd love to work with you.
Genre.
Oh,
what genre?
Action comedy, I would think. Detective. Yeah. A lot of his
Yeah.
Elliot Gould is the old grizzled cop who's like, he's the one who's like, I'm getting too old for this shit, Riggs.
Basically.
Basically, we want to make the long goodbye.
We'll make the long goodbye again. Yeah.
Nice. Let's take another one. All right, and we can ask this because it's not at all awkward because she's in the house. But was it like working with Jamie Cobb? That's from John Hoff 3. Jamie's over off camera.
Jamie's off camera actually right now. But I've gotten this question often enough that I know what to say without getting in trouble. On our first movie, it was definitely a learning process of. It was the first feature I had directed, and it was hard for me to let go of anything really during the post process. But the deeper we got into cutting that movie, the more trust was established, and I was able to sort of like leave her alone to do her thing, and only come in when she was ready for me to see something, or if she had a question about something or needed clarification of an intention. When it got to Down and Dangerous, I think occasionally we had things that we didn't necessarily agree on, and eventually she prevailed on most of those. But I'm
real happy that your couch is comfortable.
I mean, I'm kind of proud of the fact that I know that I've found an editor who I can leave to do her own thing, and I don't need to. I don't feel like I have to be looking over her shoulder in any way. I know she's meticulous and she's going to go through everything, explore all the footage, try multiple possibilities, and really come up with something special, which was just validated recently, by the way. She won a Best Editing Award for this movie at the LA Movie Awards.
Fantastic. Congrats, Jamie. I didn't even know that. I'm happy. All right. Well, that was a very... It was a very
basically, if it was
answer.
Ever rocky at any point, it was my fault.
Good answer. That was a better answer. We got another one. Just so we keep it even Steven here. I got a question rather from John Hoff for John here. How did studying archaeology shape your acting style? Did you really? Makes it sound like you really wanted to be Indiana Jones growing up.
I did.
Yeah.
But I say that without any apology, because who didn't?
This is true.
Frankly, there's always a time where every young person has that dream and then eventually deviates from it.
It was the summer a boy became a man.
Basically.
Yeah.
Some of this boy had to start, get a job and start building computers and stuff. But no, archaeology was, it was. I have a big interest, a huge interest in archaeology, and when I was going to college, I thought for sure that was going to be the thing I was going to do, and I ended up double majoring in archaeology and computer science. When I graduated high school, I went into college to do that, and would eventually go towards acting for some reason later in life. I was a late bloomer when it came to that stuff. I didn't do it as a kid. I played in the mud and played sports and did archaeology and drew and stuff like that. But yeah, archaeology just makes you want to be an adventurer. And if you can't do it for a living, if you can't get some grant to do it for a living, you might as well try to play one.
I didn't know you were a computer nerd like me too. That's awesome.
Maybe even more so.
Maybe even more so.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't know. If there's some questions that come in about that, we can talk about it.
We could. We'll have ourselves a good old PC off. I don't know what that means. I think you got to pay extra for that.
Right?
I'm not paying anything.
No.
You're not paying anything. You're more like pulling the Futurama. Shut up and take my money. So let's take one from Miles Maker. Miles Maker asks, I'd love to hear Zach talk about his guerrilla lighting scheme and who actually gets credit as DP.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a gorilla on set. That's a common misconception. But I was the DP. But when I do cinematography work, I use one of my dad's aliases, which was an alias he used when he was a smuggler called Addison Brock III. My dad really sort of got off on names like that. The lighting scheme, I mean, it came down to, and this also fed into production design, keeping the color palette as controlled as possible as you can on a low budget. When Jamie, who was the editor and co-producer, was also doing wardrobe, she was given specific colors for the cast to pull out of their own wardrobe as we were figuring out what people would wear for particular scenes, which usually fell into blues and grays, blacks, whites, that sort of thing, and occasionally a splash of yellow. And then the lighting was the same thing, different environments. Like we have motel scenes, and every time we come back there, I wanted it to be immediately identifiable as well we were. So I use a very intense yellow lighting for that, which is something that Soderbergh did a lot of in Out of Sight for the prison scenes. And yeah, the same thing. I like to set up rules for myself so that I can make decisions on the fly, but still have something that's guiding me.
I was going to say, you're giving yourself guidelines to go by so that when that yes or no comes, like, you just have to refer back to the guidelines.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, the light package was nothing special. We bought 4 softbox kits by a company called ePhoto on Amazon, which amounted to a couple $100. And then I had 4 battery-powered LED lights, which amounted to, like, maybe another $200 or $300. But it got the job done. I mean, we were definitely running a risk of some of the stuff being a little flimsy and breaking easily, but it all managed to survive.
Is it the fact that you've had enough experience over the past few years making other films and seeing other friends make films that makes you so effective at stretching a dollar when it comes to making this movie and maybe movies going forward?
I mean, I think what makes me effective at stretching the dollar is that the more roles that I personally can take on, the fewer people I have to pay,
right.
To do that. I mean, there's definitely people that I would love to be collaborating with. I'd love to work with a cinematographer and that sort of thing. But on this movie and past movies,
how about even in terms of like what you have to purchase, like lighting? So you might see something on someone else's set, or from the past sets you've done, we're like, okay, well now we know we don't really need this many lights, or we only need lights that can do this for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that only works if you're the one doing it all, because as you're writing, as you're storyboarding, as you're conceptualizing and visualizing the scenes, you also have these other parameters in mind, knowing I only have these resources for light. I know we're only going to have 2 booms, so I can't spread 6 people out throughout a room. I have to pair these people next to this person, et cetera, et cetera.
And actually, I wanted to ask a question about your pre-production, because you guys were having to stretch the money that you guys raised on Kickstarter over the course of this production. How long and involved was your pre-production process? Like, was everything storyboarded, or did you have everything kind of conceptualized before going in, or did you keep it loose enough where you're like, we can play with this a little bit?
I mean, if I was working with a cinematographer, I would definitely storyboard, but in this case, because that was me, I didn't need to communicate what the shots looked like to anybody else necessarily,
right.
To the degree that you would with working with a cinematographer. So I did shot lists, because I knew what the shot would look like. And, every time you get to the actual location, you can never necessarily do exactly what you storyboarded anyway. So I left that degree of flexibility by just doing a shot list.
Cool.
A lot of stuff was made up on the spot too.
Like the movie? No, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not at all. No, it looks. I mean, even our conversations that we had almost a year ago, or about a year ago, because I had just moved out here. You were showing me some of the tricks and stuff that you guys did, even to, in post to get rid of things like booms and stuff like that. I'm surprised more filmmakers don't do things like that. What kind of gave you the idea to, ostensibly, if you guys don't know what we're talking about yet, go through that process of like, how did you get the best sound for something like this? Because that's something that in a lot of indie action things, especially, I find that people hold back on that because they want to get that wide shot. You guys seem to have gotten really good, clean sound. But you used some tricks.
Yeah, I mean, like, good sound was very important to us, because bad sound is a dead giveaway to to amateur hour, and we didn't want to look like amateurs. So my wife, who's also the editor and co-producer and did wardrobe, also did all of our sound, our location sound. She got some training by a sound engineer on technique, and then I was very careful to, as often as I could, put us in situations where we could always keep that boom mic, within 12 inches of the actor's head. That's where that technique of locking down the camera and shooting a plate with nobody in the frame, and then bringing the actors in and allowing the boom operators to be in the frame comes from. And then in post we mat them out using the empty frame. They're just like, I don't know. I like to think out of the box a little bit, to think of tricks to make things look convincing,
And really well done. I mean, at that point, I was like, this is going to be a good movie. Only because you cared about sound. And for me, like, that is my biggest bane of my existence when it comes to watching independent films, is that it can look great, but then I'll get this thing with this layered on crap sound. I'm just like, yeah, you almost had me. You almost had me, but now you took me out. Let's take another question, because this one's from Kevin Shaw. Ask Zach and John about the multiple takes during the fight sequence at Raphael's and spilling blood.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh, the tracking
Yeah.
shot. Well, it sort of goes back to what we were talking about as far as being happy with the number of takes and being happy with the finished product.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a night where we had this choreographed fight scene that we didn't really know the details of, but we knew that there was going to be, this fight scene was happening, but we sort of had to work out the details as we went. And it's pretty well choreographed with Paul Boxer, my character, fighting 3 or 4 different guys. And it was safe and it was choreographed well, but cuts were had and blood was shed, and punches sometimes land. It's kind of par for the course. But but that was one of those nights where I could feel that, we probably could have easily just packed it in. We could have easily just said, it's good enough. Let's just go on. But I could tell deep down that, Zach and I especially wanted to get it right, get it perfect, get it so we could look at each other and both know.
Right.
We're okay, now we can go. Because there was going to be that one moment in the theater where that lasts 6 seconds, and we could feel good about it. Because all the cuts heal and all the stuff like that heals.
But
we don't want to sit
forever.
Yeah,
like you said.
We don't want to sit there and be like, oh, son of a bitch. So
now I have one follow-up question for Zach, but I want to remind everyone we actually do have a nice little action clip from Down and Dangerous we're going to show you in a moment. But my quick follow-up question before that, though, is how important is one more take?
How important is one more take? I don't know. I mean, I don't stop till we get it. So I don't think I've ever said let's do one for safety just because, Yeah, I mean, the take that Kevin brought up was it was a situation where, it was only like a 7 or 8 second shot, but there were 6 or 7 little events that just had to land perfectly, And I think it took about 26 takes till we got it, till every single thing fell into place.
All right, Kubrick. No.
Hold on, but then there's the times too where we do something and it's 2 takes,
right?
And it's good. I can tell too. I'm not vain enough where I'm like, well, I want to keep going. I don't care. If I trust Zach enough. If he has it, then we move on.
Yeah.
He's like, no, we've got it. Good, then we can move on. We don't need to do a bunch of indulgent takes.
Yeah, I guess the only exception to that is, if an actor asks me, if they tell me, I have more to give, even though what I've seen, it works for me, I'll give them more takes.
All right.
Certainly.
Well, we want to show you guys a little bit about what these guys are doing with Down and Dangerous. Give you a little taste, a reason to go see it at Dances with Films here in Hollywood. Not this next week, but the week after. It's playing June.
It's May 31st.
May 31st.
Friday night at 9:30 p.m.
Fantastic. We're going to talk more about that in a second, but real quick, when we come back, more with Zach Forsman and John T. Woods, but enjoy this little clip from Down and Dangerous, and we'll see you in a second. And we're back. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed that little sneak peek at Down and Dangerous. Cool stuff, not in the trailer, but still quite awesome. So we do have more questions. Let's go with one from our good friend Jake Stetler. Jake asks, will Zach and Kevin ever make a flick in their hometown of Harrisburg, PA?
Kevin would very much like to. As a matter of fact, he has a small town thriller that is called Falling Rock, and yeah, it's the thing that keeps him up at night. So yes, Jake.
Nice. All right, that's always good. Nice little tease out there. How do you guys decide what project you're going to work on next?
Well, I mean, we have a couple irons in that fire. John and I currently are talking about doing an LA detective, or not detective, but like an LA sort of noirish action comedy next. Inspired by things like The Long Goodbye, which we mentioned earlier, and some other things. I guess it's really just a matter of fact of like what we're interested in at the time, and what we want to do creatively, because making concessions for commercial considerations, obviously. But I have good friends who are very talented writers who've written a couple scripts for me. Julie and Jessica Keck, and Marion Kerr has written a screenplay for me called Knockout that I'm very excited about. And we're doing what everybody does, trying to find the money to make that movie.
Yep. And actually, John, you've got another project that's out right now. Just had its premiere on Monday. Misdirected.
Misdirected. Yeah. You had the girls in here last week?
I did. We had Lauren Mora, we had Marion Kerr, we had everyone in here. So you do action, you do comedy, apparently you do computers as well.
Yeah.
And you look like this. I can't help but say fuck you, but I'm gonna say no. No, you're a talented guy, man. How do you do? What do you like to do though? Like, what is your thing? Like, do you prefer more of a comedy type of thing? Do you prefer, you like the action stuff? Like, where do you like to, if you had your choice of roles right now,
well,
like where do you like to be?
I gotta be honest, because that's a good question, but the answer has most certainly changed. Because I thought when I moved out here that I would be doing like half-hour sitcom comedies as like wacky neighbor, like funny neighbor guy or something, like Kramer type coming, because that's how I feel about myself when I'm at home, just hanging out, with my neighbors and friends and stuff. I'm just ridiculous. But as time went on, I started getting cast more in 1-hour dramas as like dirty cops and like untrustworthy detective type guys and bad husbands, and then heroes as well. And so I'm really trying to latch on to doing action type stuff. Roles that I like, the faulty anti-hero type, the Tony Starks of the world, right? But who doesn't love that lovable character? But I like things like that. I like an action character who can shoot a gun and throw a punch, but first and foremost can talk his way out of it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So do you feel that playing characters with faults is what makes those characters relatable to audiences? Like, you look at like a Tony Stark type of character, an archetype where, billionaire, playboy, industrialist, Avenger, type of guy. But he's a guy with problems, and not just from that superhero level. Like, people are always trying to kill him, but other problems, especially if you go back to like the comics and stuff.
Yeah.
But yourself, I mean, when you're playing those, when you play those characters, what do you look for in those characters to make them relatable to an audience?
Well,
do you play up the faults? Do you play up more of the humor? What do you do?
It's sort of an actory answer to give, but I think playing in the honesty of the situation, the honesty of the situation that the character is in, is what people tend to relate to. I think people can look at someone who is a bad guy, or ostensibly a bad guy, like a cocaine smuggler, and they can look at him and they can say, well, if that were me, if I were someone who was trying to cleverly smuggle cocaine, what would I do? How would I go about it? And I think you try to connect to an audience on that level rather than just like being a badass, or because that stuff's so flat.
Yeah.
Just trying to just play hero.
It's You prefer more of the shades of gray rather than the
Absolutely.
black and white type of deal?
Yeah, all 50 of them.
And all 50 of them,
Yes.
50 shades, yes. Yes, this guy for that next movie. No.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, but only the one I'm filming in my garage. But what's up?
I'm sure I'll make scale.
How you doing? We have to work for your roles here. Now, here's where you start paying. No. So you were in Misdirected. The first three episodes were released this Monday. I watched it.
That's how we got to this point. Yeah.
We got to this point. Yeah, I know. I was bringing it back around. Your character made me laugh my ass off.
Thanks.
That was good. I like that. Tell them a little bit about what you do with that character.
Yeah,
in Misdirected.
Play a character named Josh, who is the best friend of the lead character Freddy, and who's trying to. Basically, he's trying to. I don't want to give too much away because we're still releasing the episodes, but he's trying to reintroduce this woman to her own life after she has amnesia. But he's basically going about it in a way that suits him. In a way, he's like, well, if she's going to remember, I'm going to make sure she remembers this, this, and this, instead of the things that might or might not be real. It's a fun series. It's a lot of fun, and more episodes are coming every Monday.
Yeah, Misdirected Mondays.
Yeah,
definitely.
And it's exactly misdirectedshow.com, I believe, is the website.
That is the website. And if you want to know more about that show, because I know we get this is the Zach Forsman show tonight, but we have.
You started it.
I did. But you're an actor. You're in a lot of things. I like that about you. You always have different irons in the fire, and just also like Zach. Like I'm always seeing. The one thing I admire about a lot of the people that I know here in LA is that none of you, and this is Lauren, Marion, you, Zach, even guys like Sean Hackett, is that I've heard of you at the beginning of my career, and I'm still hearing about you 5.5 years later. And that to me is really, I have a lot of respect for that, because there's also hundreds of other filmmakers, actors, actresses, other people just in the industry that I've heard of that I thought were really talented, and then I never heard from them again, and because they're just not creating anymore.
Are they okay?
Depends on where the bodies are. No, it's just such a such a challenging industry to be in, and I really have a lot of respect for people who continue to make it happen. What do you, Zach, attribute your longevity thus far in the industry to?
Well, I mean, I decided a long time ago that, yes, there are jobs I'll have to take to pay the bills, but I'm never going to make a choice in my life where I am not moving toward being toward a filmmaking career that is self-sustaining, just so that I can have a more expensive car or a bigger apartment, let alone a house. Basically until I, run out of steam, whether I get there or not, I mean, it's, I have a limited amount of time on this earth, and it's the one thing that I really want to do and will continue doing.
Does it help to have support from Jamie, obviously, does it help to have someone else who's in the trenches with you that can understand what you're going through on that level and be able to kind of help you push forward?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Jamie has been.
This is the redeeming question from the last time, so keep you off the couch.
Gift, yeah. I mean, we have, we've been together for 10 years. We've been married for since October 10th, 2010.
Good call, sir.
Yeah.
High five.
And it's just because I'm on camera.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was literally gonna say it's the pressure
Everything
of
up
being
here
on.
just like melts into oatmeal, and I can't even recall my own name. Nor can I recall the last question you just asked me.
The last question I had asked you was, does it help to have someone who's also in the industry to go through it with you and support you? Yes. Yeah,
the answer is a big yes. I married her because she's a great editor, basically, and so that nobody else could use her.
We were clear on this for like a minute and a half, and then you're back on not only you're on the couch, she might put you in the car. I've got a couch for you tonight, pal. You're good. How about you, John? How about, how do you, I know a lot of actors out here. I've dated actresses out here, and I understand that it is a difficult profession for anybody. You know, even the most talented people still need to really work hard on it. How do you get past no, the word no? How do you get past that? How do you get past every day of having to hustle and continue to get work and continue to survive doing something you love?
Man,
I just got serious on it.
yeah. How does anybody do anything and continue to do it without, just jumping off a building?
But see, it's different. I was I was a network engineer
Yeah.
for years. All right, no one's going and saying like you can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it's you get a client, you go, you fix it, and if you can't fix it, you find a way, and that's it.
Sure.
Acting is a little bit different in as much as you have a lot of people judging you on many different levels, some superficially, some based on what they feel your inherent talent is for a particular role.
I think I know what the answer is.
Okay,
To this question.
talk to me.
I think in the beginning it's impossible to get past it. It's impossible to really deflect. The only thing you can really do is persevere. And then when you have some semblance of success, this is just true for me, it's somehow you feel a little more validated that when you go into that room, all the no's that still keep coming aren't because of a lack of talent or a lack of, you're not good enough or you're not right or you suck, that kind of thing. It's not that. It's just all these little minutia and hundreds of things that have nothing to do with you. And you start to be okay with that. You start to realize, like, look, I've done X, Y, and Z, and so I feel like I at least belong here.
Right.
That kind of thing. So then you can go in and you can take the no's with a grain of salt, and you realize that it goes up this hierarchy of no's. It's not the person in the room who's going no. It's a lot of people behind the scenes. Like, oh, he has brown hair. My boyfriend had brown hair, and I hated that. It's a lot of stuff that you have no control over. So you learn to work with the people you like to work with, and continue to do the work that you are excited about. And you just take the no's as they come. But in the beginning, it's nearly impossible, and it breaks most people.
And
I think
kind of relating to that a little bit, and this maybe might go back to Zach as a question. There are different levels of success in this industry, and there's the level where you get to the point where you're a Soderbergh or a Spielberg or something like that. There are those levels where you get to make what you want, and pretty much no one tells you what you can and can't do, or if they do kind of set up something, to you, you at least have the ability to go back and do something you want to do, with little to no interference. And then there's the level that most independent filmmakers, there's a lot of independent filmmakers they're at where, they've been lucky enough to just be accepted into a handful of festivals. They've maybe gotten a chance to write some articles. They've gotten a chance to, get some sort of notoriety based on their ability and their talent. How important is it for you, and do you recognize those levels of success in terms of your own career? And what do you strive for, or are you happy just making stuff? Is it just about making the movie, or is it about making a movie that gets noticed? Do you ever shoot for Sundance?
No, I've never shot for Sundance. We didn't even bother submitting this year, which is exactly why we didn't get in. Joking. But no, I would say first and foremost, especially when you're working on a picture, the picture is the thing, and that's all that matters until you get every detail, running on all cylinders. But that's a cog in a larger wheel. That the hope is that each project is moving you forward to more opportunities. So where the finish line actually lies at the end of my life, I don't really bother myself with that so much. But just as long as I'm working with friends, people I like, and making good movies, I'm happy.
Fantastic. And how much has your audience grown from where you started years ago?
How often does our audience grow?
Yes. No. How has your audience grown since you started making films, in terms of whether it's numbers or even the how fervent are they in
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple people out there who I would call Sabi super fans. Miguel Duran has bought every single movie we've put out, and has been. He drove to Arizona to be at our Phoenix premiere.
Oh, wow.
And there's a number of people like that. There's a girl named Gail Yee who lives in Canada, and she was an up and coming cinematographer and reached out to me for some advice. I sent her some gear that we weren't using at the time, to help her along, and maybe one day we'll actually meet. But there's a number of people out like that who have become genuine friends, whether we've met in person or not. I don't really consider Facebook a barrier to friendship necessarily the way a lot of people do, but it's we're making movies that we like to make, and along the way we've met some really great people, and I'm no good at being the salesman, so I can't get on Twitter and be like,
But everyone loves the cuddly Papa Bear. That's how you're the cute cuddly Zach Forsman who happens to make also good movies.
Well, that remains to be seen. May 31st, Friday night, 9:30 p.m.
At the Egyptian theaters, right?
Right, at the Chinese theaters, exactly.
Right, sorry, Chinese, not the Egyptian. Whoops.
So racist.
Yeah.
I know.
And
I didn't name it the Chinese theaters.
Yeah. But yeah. So when I go out there, when I go to other festivals, that sort of thing, I'm out there to genuinely meet people. I like meeting people, making new friendships, that sort of thing. And if there is a reward to be gained from that, it's just from being a decent human being. How
about the festivals that you've been to previously? Not counting Dances with Films, because I don't want to alienate them, but you haven't been there yet.
We've had 2 films.
Well, you've had 2 films. Okay, so you're right. You haven't been there. Okay, well, I guess you can include them. What festival is your favorite?
No.
Dances with Films,
obviously,
especially this week.
Especially this week. Good answer, sir.
But I'll give you some festivals that have that are outstanding. Dances with the Films puts on a great show. Phoenix Film Festival also puts on a great show. We were just there a month or 2 ago. Mm-hmm. A lot of festivals get a lot of different things right, and I'm paraphrasing my friend Paul Osborne. But Phoenix is
Paul Osborne, you mean the director of Official Rejection and Favor, that's also screening at Dances with Films next week?
And damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry, pal.
My thought train derailed.
Your thought train derailed? There are different things that festivals are good at.
And Phoenix is one of those that gets everything right.
That gets everything right. Yeah. What is the most common thing that festivals don't get right that you've seen so far?
Projection.
Yeah? Was it just bad, not good aspect ratios, just shitty projection in general? A lack of
any aspect ratio. 0-0.
Yeah, I've screened at festivals that I will never return to again, where they just can't get the geometry of the image right. Everybody's squashed for some reason.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, "Oh no, our projectionist knows what he's doing, so you don't need to do a tech run." And we show up, and the sound is too low, and everybody's very, very dark on the screen. Because never mind, not even a joke there. And so yeah, I think projection is the biggest. That's the thing that if something's gonna go that's the thing you think should be a priority and should be.
It's literally the whole joke is you got one job.
Yeah. And then it's just worse when they assure you it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And you go in and then it's your 5.1 is folded to 2 and you can't hear or see anything. And it's just and everyone's squished and they're like, yeah, it looks great, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's as a former projectionist, and I say former, but still kind of. There's nothing I hate more than not being able to show a movie the way it was meant to be seen, because you guys work so hard on it, and the audience has an expectation as well based upon what press you put out there and the implication of the movie. So I can understand that. I go to a lot of film festivals myself, and there are some times I have to sit there and go okay, is it the movie, is it the projection, or is it me? And I'm like, I'll blame everyone else. Is there anything else that you guys have coming up that we definitely need to talk about in terms of where are you guys going to be after Dances with Films?
1 week after Dances with Films, we'll be in Oklahoma City at the Dead Center Film Festival. Hard to Now had its world premiere there 3 years ago, and that's another festival that gets just about everything right. And I'm really looking forward to going back and seeing the people that we met 3 years ago again. A week after that, we are at a festival called the AMFM Fest. It's a film and music fest that's going to be out in the Coachella Valley. And I don't know if Gary has told anybody this, but I'm about to say it anyway. We're screening the same day as Sherman Song in that festival. And then in July...
a little friendly competition.
Yeah. And also at the AMFM Fest, our composer Declan is going to be DJing a poolside party. And it's like a 2-hour drive, so if you want to join us for a pool party, you're invited.
Yeah.
And then in July we'll be, and we're really excited about this one because John went to UNLV, and some of our other cast also went to UNLV. We're going to be in the Las Vegas Film Festival.
Oh, fantastic. You looking forward to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, that one's gonna be a lot of fun because I still have a huge group of friends and people that I really respect and former professors that live in Las Vegas, and they're all coming out and everyone's gonna be supporting, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
And you'd be like, see, I did do something with myself.
I know there's a couple of professors where I'm like, look, you told me not to do this. I don't know, that won't happen. They're all good people.
They're all good people.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the whole pluggy thing. Where can we find more information, or when can other people out there find more information about Down and Dangerous, sir?
Google it. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. It's
It's funny how it works.
That's how I actually found all the information about it today.
downanddangerousmovie.com. That'll lead you to information about the movie, the trailer. You can get to our Facebook page that way. On Twitter, I'm Zach Forsman.
Yep.
Hard to remember.
At John T. Woods.
John T. Woods.
On Twitter as well.
Yeah.
And then we also do have you can look up Down and Dangerous on Facebook, facebook.com/Down and Dangerous, I believe. And then you guys also have I think I've got the lower third linked on here for Sabi Company, their page for Down and Dangerous as well. How do you, before we get out of here, how do you work with press typically for your stuff? I mean, how do you go about getting the word out? Me notwithstanding, because I don't really I'm not press necessarily, but I'm a buddy. No.
Well, for Phoenix, we hired a publicist, and they got us some morning radio time, and I was on it was a local regional show that was sort of like an Entertainment Tonight thing, except that it was like entertainment at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And that was a local Phoenix firm, because we went with them because they had a lot of direct relationships with the local papers. We got some write-ups. We weren't necessarily looking for reviews. We wanted to more tell the story about the movie, so we got sort of like a profile about the Sabity Company and John and that sort of thing that went up on the local Arizona papers.
Is it John? Is it great working with guys like Zach and company? Movies like this where you have an opportunity to get a little more attention than working with, like, say, with a larger movie where the movie gets attention but not necessarily yourself.
There's positives to both. I know what you mean. I mean, like, working on a higher profile film that has a built-in studio presence and audience is one thing. If I had to pick one based on where I'm at right now, I would make Down and Dangerous 2.
Nice.
Next.
Down and Dangerouser.
Down and Dangerouser. Yeah, I mean, it's I think you have to build. I don't want to just go into studio pictures, doing smaller roles and just get stuck there for the rest of my life.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure I can do both at the same time.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys both for coming on the show, obviously, and I want to double check to make sure we have no more questions before I let you guys go. I have no more questions, so I'm going to let you guys go. And but I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm going to see you guys obviously at Dances with Films. I'm looking forward to that. First drinks on you, and I look forward to seeing Down and Dangerous on the big screen, because you gave me a little taste about a year ago, and it's been whetting my appetite for the whole time. And
Sounds sexy.
it does.
Sexy results.
I'm waiting forward to finishing the experience of watching this movie. But thanks guys for taking the time to come in, because I know obviously you're busy with a lot of things, both going on. You've got a web series and a movie. You've got the movie. There's tons of stuff going on, and I'm sure there's other press that are also chomping on the bit besides myself. So thank you for taking the time. And also I want to thank both of you guys for also supporting Film Snobbery for as long as you have, especially Zach's been there pretty much since the beginning, like 5+ years ago. Anytime we've done a crowdfunding campaign, anytime we've done promotion, even if we've just done a long show, and like I was just like, anyone want to weigh in on this shit? And he was just like, hold on, let me tell you something. The hammer's about to drop. So big thanks to John and Papa Bear over there for being so supportive.
You've always been hugely supportive, and we're all really happy you moved out. So
yes, my parents are very happy I moved out too.
Nice. Count it.
So we will see you guys. We'll see you guys this week, and we'll see you guys in a couple more minutes. We'll leave you real quick with a little ad from our friends here literally in the building we're in, here at Hot Pixel Post-Production. And when we come back, we've got another great interview with the co-founder director of Dances with Films, Leslie Scallon, and then we have a little bit more news coming up. So stick around, we'll be right back. And we're back, or I'm back, actually, and you're back with me. That's how that goes. So I was lucky enough this week, because we are gearing up for a shit ton of coverage for Dances with Films, leading into their 16th year this year. Starting May 30th is their red carpet, and like their kind of film, or actually it's not even red carpet, green carpet, as a matter of fact. And then stretching on their 11-day event, which is huge. I mean, most festivals are usually like a weekend deal. I know Tribeca's a long one with like 20 days or something like that, but for them to expand over to 11 days and at a fantastic location as well over at the Chinese theaters is great. We were able to sit down with Leslie Scallon, who's the co-founder director of the Dances with Films Film Festival, and we chatted with her a little bit about what makes them tick, basically. Right now you're going to see about a 5-minute clip from that interview. We've got about a half an hour of that interview that is going to go up on the web later on tonight. So if you like what you saw here, definitely go over to FilmSnobbery.com and either watch it there, or you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FilmSnobbery, and you can watch not only that interview, but tons of other interviews as well. And you could probably catch both this show archived and that interview probably around the same time. So check it out. We'll be right back with some more great news of things that we've got going on here in Film Snobbery land. And stick around. We're almost done, I promise. This is Nick Basley from FilmSnobbery.com, and I am here with Leslie Scallon she's the co-founder of the Dances with Films Film Festival, now heading into their 16th year. I'm very excited to be speaking with you. How are you?
I am great today and happy to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
No, thank you for coming on. You've got the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel?
Oh, that's a tough question just to start off with. It makes me feel like, wow, I can't believe we made it here.
I know. What has changed the most from year 1 to year 16?
Well, I think the extent of our program. I mean, we've gone from being 7 days, now we've extended this year to 11. The films just continue to grow with the advent of all of the new digital technology that we have. The films are getting just more and more slick and interesting and fascinating, and it's just always been an interesting process to see it continually evolve. You know, we have more panels, we have more seminars, we have Filmmakers Lounge finally. you know? The first year we didn't.
The first time it was like, you have a pile of hay over there. It's just, you go there.
No, we had the Britannia pub in Santa Monica.
Even better, you know?
It worked very well.
Filmmakers, go get drunk. We'll call you when we need you. So no, there are a lot of challenges to that process over year 1 to year 16. Have you guys kind of almost found a groove, or is every year present new challenges, or?
Well, it is a production. From beginning to end, it's a production just the same way it is as on a film. So there is always going to be something that's a little bit more of a hurdle. We're always looking for sponsors. We're always looking for good films. We're always looking for good people. But as the years have gone, it's been amazing because more and more people are involved with us. And we have people who are volunteers from year 1 who are still with us. We have more people who are actually staff. I mean, so it just has continually grown, and more people understand who and what we are, because, you know, the very first year when we were trying to put this together, we were trying to put together a board of directors. And we approached somebody who, well, I won't name names, but anyway, his people went, a film festival without stars, what is it going to be? Porn? Now it's like a completely different world, and we have a very illustrious board of directors, or advisory board as we like to call it, and that person is not one of those people.
No. Does it get more difficult when you have to deal with people's people, as it were? Like, is that kind of also part of the reason why you're like, we just don't want to deal with the star factor, is that it gets so exponentially more complicated? We'd rather foster maybe not new filmmakers, but filmmakers that are lesser known, because they need the help.
It's not so much that they need the help, because I think talent will be talent. But, when we started this, it was because Michael Trent, the co-founder with me, we had created a film, and we knew we wanted to do a screening to industry. And, no offense to all the other smaller festivals that were around at the time, but, we were starry-eyed like everybody. We wanted Sundance, we wanted Toronto, we wanted Telluride, whatever, Berlin. And when we didn't get in, we knew we needed to do a screening here. So we actually created this festival to support our own filmmaking careers. And, when Michael said to me, he goes, you know what, there's got to be a lot of other filmmakers who are just like us, who have films that are just as good as ours, but can't get a break. And he was so right, and so we created it in like 9 months that very first year. And it was amazing. The experience was amazing. The other filmmakers were amazing. It was so nice to hear people who had had great experiences with their films, other people who hadn't had great experience, to trade and swap those stories of people who were actually doing stuff. And so when we realized that what we were doing was getting doers together, that was exciting to us, because it became a very creative element, of going on and doing more projects and things like that. And so that is what was really, truly exciting.
And one of the things that, we were speaking about a little bit before off camera was the fact that you guys have just a great retention of filmmakers too. So again, going from year 1 to year 16, you've seen so many filmmakers over the years come and go. You've seen careers, rise. You've seen, people that you've said, wow, I really think I love what they're doing, and then you never hear from them again. How do you go ahead and manage that many, because it's almost you're fostering those careers and you're watching them.
Well, the thing is that we try and stay in contact with as many people as we can. We try to have little mini events or mini, gatherings and things like that. But it's really, truly the strength of the filmmakers themselves, that they actually have a great experience at our festival, and then that's why they want to come back. Our jury is always from our peers. It's part of our alumni. Whoever's been alumni is who is judging our grand jury prizes. And it's just it's just everybody realizes you need to support each other. You know, there's not just one film. I know it kind of feels like it, but there is more than one film at a theater.
Right.
You know, and so there's room for more than one filmmaker to rise. And so we just really strive to have a very supportive atmosphere. You know, supportive for everybody's creative efforts and everybody's other efforts. You know, it's family. We've become family.
And how about them apples? That was our little segment there from the Dances with Films co-founder director Leslie Scallon. You can see the whole thing over at youtube.com/FilmSnobbery later on tonight, early tomorrow morning, depending on where you live, I guess. It could be tomorrow afternoon if you're in Australia, for all we know. It could be yesterday in China. I don't know. It's a really great interview, though. Really good insight into the film festival process, not only from a programming standpoint, but from sponsors and audience and filmmakers and everything. It's actually a really, really good interview, I thought. But then again, I am slightly biased. So we've got some other stuff going on, though, I want to talk to you guys about. So I do need your support this weekend, this Saturday specifically. I am going to be taking part in what is called Hell Walk. Hell Walk, this is the third annual, this is Hell Walk 3, so the third annual event. It's going to be taking place down at the Dirt Cheap Studios in Santa Monica. I will be going up against the gentleman who did it last year alone. I am now partnering up with him, and I'm walking with him and against him, actually, for Hell Walk, and it is a last man standing competition. So if this was called Hell Run, I wouldn't even bother, because I can't barely make it to the fridge in a light sprint without being winded, and forget about that. Now, walking, I've got a chance. I walk every day. I'm good for about 20, 30 miles or so, but what I need you guys' help is to help me get over that hump where I get tired and flustered and all that kind of stuff, and I need your help to help me beat this guy, because there's a good chunk of money on the line, and we're each competing for a different charity. He's competing for, I believe this year it's Project Angel Food. I'm competing for kidflix.org. What kidflix.org does is Kidflix, they give movies to kids in like pediatric centers that are, recouping, to give them something to watch and something to enjoy while they're, trying to get better. And, when I was looking around for different charities to work with, I was looking at, ones for wounded soldiers in hospitals. I was looking for stuff like this, and I was like, this combines movies, this combines kids, two things I like, so why not? This looked like a really good thing, and they're really fantastic people to work with. It's started by four sisters here locally in Los Angeles. One of them actually goes to school at, I forget now, I think it's USC, it might be UCLA. I'm sorry, Marnie, if I forgot where you go. But we've already raised $2,000 for this charity just by participating, and there's at least another, I don't know, $15,000, $17,000 on the table that is up for grabs for me if I win this for them. We're also taking DVD donations to actually give to them. So if you have a movie that is just laying around your house between, like, say, the G and PG-13 area, they will accept those as well, and we'll be giving those to the charity as well. So again, it's this Saturday. I start at 8 a.m. And it goes until one of us drops. Now, at 6 p.m. on Saturday, we have a party starting while we're doing this. We've got a keg of Sam Adams, we've got a keg of PBR, and we've got the gourmet chefs, I believe, from Bad Robot that are there that cook their lunches every day. And I've had 2 lunches there, including my last Thanksgiving dinner, and it was fan-friggin-tastic. So definitely, if you have an opportunity to stop by the Dirt Cheap Studios in Santa Monica, say hello to me, say hi to Josh, and maybe walk a mile or so with me and have a chat. We can talk about your movie. We can talk about anything to keep my mind off the fact that I'm fat, I'm walking, and I'm going to die at the end of this. Which is all really what life is, right? It's just a matter of distraction after distraction to keep us forgetting that we're going to die one day. Well, now my death is imminent, and I'm thinking about it a lot, so I need your help to really just keep my mind off of things. If you can stop by, I would really greatly appreciate it. Again, Saturday, Dirt Cheap Studios in Santa Monica. Hell Walk, Nick, Fat, Die. That's that. So that is fantastic. We're also going to be at the Dances with Films Film Festival, as you've heard us mention many, many times. So we're going to be there this week as well, covering starting May 30th. Not this week, next week, I guess. Starting May 30th, going for the next 30 days. You can follow them over at danceswithfilms.com. Definitely let them know that you're, look forward to seeing us there. we've already got our reviewers and myself going on getting reviews done for the flicks that are there. So you'll be seeing us posting those as well. We've got some filmmaker interviews scheduled over the next couple of weeks to bring you some great coverage that way as well. So that's what we've got going on there. And then after that, I believe we're waiting on our credentials, but hopefully we'll be covering the LA Film Festival as well. So we'll hopefully be giving you some coverage there. But yes, we will not be around next Thursday for this show because we have the red carpet or the green carpet for Dances with Films. So we'll end up skipping this one and will be there instead. So, lastly, we've got our sponsors, obviously. We've got Sony Vegas Pro 12, which is my editing system of choice. Amy, she was like, Sony who? And then, yeah, and Jamie. Amy and Jamie, I got editors in stereo over here. I mentioned Sony, they both pout, but have you ever used it? You've never used it, Amy? Amy never heard of it until I started talking about it. It's what I learned on, and while I by no means have the experience these two lovely young ladies have in terms of editing, I am able to at least cut interviews and get this show out to you on a weekly basis and have for the past several years. So I definitely tip my hat to them and definitely should say if you guys are thinking about filmmaking and thinking about your editing systems, you could look to the left where Avid sits, you could look to the right where Final Cut sits, or you could just look to the center, that happy medium where our good friends over at Sony Vegas Pro are, because they're really cool people. And also, that said, if you don't own an Apple, Sony Vegas is a great selection for you because it's not a Mac program. So if you want to save yourself a couple $1,000s on buying some highfalutin, expensive piece of machinery, you can always purchase yourself some Sony Vegas Pro, put it on any PC for the most part, and run that shit like you're a baller, an editing baller. All right, that's all I got for that. I just really wanted to make you guys laugh. All right, so I've done my job. So that is pretty much it for this episode of Film Snobbery Live, unless I'm forgetting something. Yes, no. All right, I'm getting a shake no head here. All right. Follow us. Make sure you follow us over on Twitter every single day. We're always retweeting stuff. We're throwing out some great information. We're letting you know what we're doing. We want to know what you're doing, so feel free to do that over at twitter.com/filmsnobbery. You can visit us every day over at filmsnobbery.com. We've always got different things going on there as well, whether it's new reviews from our writers, whether it's interviews, archives of our previous shows that you guys want to check out. Definitely check us out there. I'm actually currently working on another site redesign that might take a few months for us to kind of get going, but we definitely have something in the works for you, and I'm excited about it. So, if you can't, if you don't want to read and you just want to, watch shit and rot your brain from the inside watching our shit, you can always go to youtube.com/filmsnobbery and check out the hundreds of interviews and shows that we've done over the past several years, and I highly encourage it because a lot of the information in there is still incredibly relevant, and a lot of the filmmakers and people in the industry that we have interviewed just have a wealth of experience. I definitely want to say, you can check our show out every week, except for next week, over every Thursday, 7 p.m. PST over at filmsnobberylive.com, and we always have some fantastic guests, and if I even gave you guys a hint at some of the guests that we have lined up in the next couple of months, you would shit yourself. And I'm just going to assume you guys don't have clean underwear ready right now because you don't listen to your mothers. So I'm just going to say we've got great people, and I'm going to leave it at that. Some of them you've heard of, some of them you've definitely heard of, others that, and we have others that are just emerging. So, great indie content, great people, great voices in this industry that I'm really excited to share with you. So that said, thank you to Zach Forsman, thank you to John T. Woods, thank you to Jamie, thank you to Amy, thank you to Bill, thank you to everyone who's watching out there and was giving us questions to ask. Thank you. So thanks Jake and John and Gary and everyone else that is in there. Then if I missed anyone, so thank you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.